Evans, great to see you. Welcome to Popternative.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to chat with you about Dracula. Look, I feel like I can't even imagine just preparing for this thing, even before going to camera, was its own journey, right? Like, I can't even imagine all the conversations. Can you take me through that first couple of days being there, seeing everything, seeing the castles? Like, what was that like for you specifically?
Well, the first couple of days were in Lapland. So my first day on set was actually, I think it was like midnight. It was minus 15 degrees. It was in the snow. I was freezing to death. But it made the whole world just, I mean, real. I mean, we were in real snow. I mean, you can't get more real than that. So that experience was truly incredible.
And it's one of those things too where it's iconic, right? Dracula, a lot of different kind of variations over the years and everything. Like the research component, right? You can kind of like, look at source material, you can kind of leave it alone a little bit. What was that like for you specifically with this one?
Um, I felt like it was best for me to leave it alone, because I mean, of course, as you said, like you can go and I mean do hours and hours and hours of research and you can look at everything that's been done before. But I just wanted to come in with a true sense of openness. I did my own work, obviously, the work of an actor. Um, but when it came to doing more research on what's been done before, I left that alone and decided to just come in with openness and this sense of like adventure. All right, let's go for it. Let's put our own spin on it and see how it goes.
When you get a script, there's obviously Dracula and the whole love story and the big kind of overall plot. And then there's things with your character specifically, right? And I find it interesting too when you're on like a TV series, right? When TV shows have like certain plots overall about a show, but then side plots with characters and character storylines. So in Dracula, for you, with your stuff, right? And then overall
Yeah.
story, when you have those in the scripts, like how do you prepare and balance those things? Because at the end of the day, those might be two different kind of preparations, right? Like your stuff specifically, the overall story, or does it feel like all one kind of preparation, storytelling wise?
Well, I mean, they're obviously they go together. First of all, I
Yeah.
mean, well, one story leads into the next, and they merge, and I mean that's how we got that, the final product. Um, I mean, reading the whole script as a whole helps to identify my own journey, my own obviously adventure in this story. Um, but yeah, it's not two separate entities. It's one entity, and it helps me to kind of better understand the story as a whole, which here we focus on love and acceptance.
Yeah. And the storytelling kind of conversations, because I'm a filmmaker as well. So conversations always happen. And I feel like it depends on the project, but a lot of them happen in kind of preparation, but a lot of them kind of happen on the day, certain kind of conversations. What were the conversations like with Luke, with your cast, like while you were filming? Were there a lot, not as many conversations as we thought there would be? Was it mostly in prep? Like what were conversations day of filming in production?
I think it was only the first week or the first, just before the first day of shooting, that we had kind of a rehearsal with Luke, and that's where we kind of laid the ground and we talked about the character a little bit. Obviously, prior starting filming, we talked a little bit, but the main conversation happened kind of here just before filming. All right, what are we feeling here? What where are we gonna go with that? Oh, he kind of explained to me his ideas for it, and we had a discussion, and then that's what we started really. And then after that, it was great. We both know what we want and where we're gonna go with it. And yeah, and Luke would be like at the end of the scene, be like, "Are you happy with this? How do you feel? Do you want another take?" So he was really open to talking about those things.
Absolutely. To kind of add to that as well, can you take me through the conversations about going back in time for a role? Are you focused on the character specifically, what he's going to look like, what is he going to say? Are you thinking about the whole kind of like aesthetic and production design? What is that like for you going back in time for a role, Evans?
Oh, I mean everything to do with design and the costume. Obviously, I mean the costume in this film are incredible,
Insane. Like I have
right?
questions about that, like crazy.
Yeah, they're incredible. But I tend to focus on getting a good connection with the cast, with Luke, with the crew as well. But anything else, I let people do their jobs in that sense of like I'm not gonna think about what I'm gonna wear. I mean, that's why we've got those costume fittings, and that's where me and the costume designer we would have back and forth with the costume designers, Luke and myself, and kind of that's where you kind of build the character through the clothes and stuff.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I would just focus on telling the story, and having fun and going through this adventure with the ensemble.
And I know, like, when you're in production, you don't really think about the audience as much and you're not conscious at all. You're focusing on the character. But it's interesting to see, like, the growth and, the kind of impact over the years of the audience member, where there's different ways we can watch things, right? Like at the theater, streaming on our phones. There's different, like, times when we watch things. You know what I mean? Like, do you feel like as a storyteller actor now, are you becoming more interested and conscious of the audience member in a time where like horror movies are very popular? Like, it's interesting to think about.
Yeah, obviously, when we're filming, not at all.
Yeah.
And obviously, we in the cinema kind of medium here, so it's different for like a TV show. As you said, there's different aspect to this world. I mean, you probably heard of like the verticals now, the vertical media
Yes,
stuff.
exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, there's new kind of yeah, media being put in place, but I'm not thinking about it as we're going through the process of filming. The focus here is as I said, is all right. Let's focus on the character, the job, the story, and then we'll see where the movie is going to go.
Maybe at lunchtime, you're talking to people being like, I can't wait for people to see the castles. Because I would say that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, you discussed all of those things. Um, uh, you can only hope. That's the thing. You hear, you go, oh, I hope people are gonna like it. I hope it's gonna come out great. And then you leave people to do their job. The editing process and the vision, the lighting, and so you're talking about it at lunchtime per se. But you mainly focus on your job here.
The life of a storyteller actor is like you're on a journey and then on to the next journey, right? Until the journey's back, right? Like you filmed Dracula, you wrapped it, now it's coming out in theaters, so we talk about it again, so the journey's open again. But I'm curious how separate are like past things for like compared to like current or future projects from you. Like for example, like do you bring things from like Andor to something like Dracula or vice versa? Or like will you bring things from Dracula to future roles, preparation, mindset wise, or are they completely separate once you wrap them?
No, for sure. I mean, for me, it's always a different experience. It's always a different learning experience.
Yeah.
I mean, you learn stuff on different projects, with different roles. With Andor, it's because it's a TV show. It's such a long period, so you know a lot about patience and stuff like that. So you just because it's just again, it's a different form of entertainment here. So yeah, you kind of bring different tools back
Yes.
with you for different projects.
Absolutely. And then, last two questions, cool, before we wrap up. I mean, the it's is it always gonna be like, are you getting used to this idea of like making something, it's in your hands, and then when it gets disseminated into the universe, it's kind of out of your hands? Like it's crazy to think about, right? Is it helpful maybe not to think about those things, like actor wise? Like, it's in your hands and then out of your hands type thing?
I mean, I think yeah, it's very difficult, but at the same time, I don't know if it's ever in your hand. I mean, you just go out there, you put your heart and soul into it, and as I said, I just like to go in there with just openness, a little bit like um a high level of professionalism, but more like a child that just goes into a new world and just explores everything and just lets it himself or uh, go through the process. So having kind of like that openness and not thinking about the end result, and taking it day by day is how I go about it.
Whether you've been on a set one time or 100 times. There's always going to be learning experiences that you're going to take to future roles, whether it's the director you work with for the first time, the cast, the production, where you're filming and everything. You're always going to have learning experiences every
For
time.
sure.
What were learning experiences from you from a storytelling actor perspective on Dracula that Ewens is going to be able to take for future projects and future journeys?
I think on this project, because Jonathan Harker, obviously I work with Landry Jones and Christoph Waltz and Zoe Bleu, and he's going through such a big emotional arc throughout the story, and understanding where we are in the story took a lot of work, so I kept every day rereading, what we've just done, and Luke filmed the whole film chronologically, so it helped. But learning how to navigate such a huge journey for a character. I mean, he goes from a little bit naive and jolly and excited for this adventure, to the deepest, darkest part of hell, really. I mean, the whole castle sequence is pretty dark for him. And then he goes back up again a little bit, but that's what I learned from it. It's that commitment to always working every day, knowing where we are, and keeping that line through the whole journey.
Super well said. Can't wait for people to see Dracula. You were so good in this film. Congratulations. Evan, so great chatting with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah, thank you.
Do you have an Instagram account where people can keep up to date with everything? Is it just your name?
Yeah, it's my name. It's just Ewens Abid. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this has been Pop Turn. If you do.com/PopTurn for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Ewens Abid and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.